All right, let's talk a little bit more about Kamala Harris. The president has canceled her Secret Service detail. The move is coming just a few weeks before Harris is beginning that nationwide book tour to promote her memoir, 107 Days. Now, former presidents receive Secret Service protection for life, former presidents. But Harris, as a former vice president, would receive 6 months of protection after leaving office. That ended on July 21st. Her protection had been extended for an additional year by former President Joe Biden via a private, undisclosed order shortly before leaving office. To discuss this and other hot topics, let's bring in our left-right panel. On the right, we have host of Stacy. On the right, Stacy Washington. She's also the CEO of ShareNet Ministries with us today. And on the left, joined by Democratic strategist, former Obama White House official, Ashwani Jain. He is the author of Project 2027. Guys, good to have you with us. All right, I'm going to start with you on the left. Ashwani, what do you think, Kamala Harris? The rules are rules. Her time's up.
Well, it's great to be on. Look, this is authoritarianism 101, plain and simple. Punish and silence your critics. This is the very first time in modern history that a former vice president has been stripped of protection, and it's just because she's not on Trump's team. Imagine the outrage if the next Democratic president removed from protections from Trump or Pence or Vance. Republicans would go ballistic, and I think rightfully so. This is not just petty, it's dangerous, it's vindictive, and it does set a chilling precedent of where security is granted based on loyalty, not law. That should terrify all of us, regardless of what party you're on.
Stacy, are you terrified?
No, I don't actually have that aspect, but you know that, Bianca. I'm all for transparency, and I think what's at issue here is that this is the vice president. So President Trump hasn't stripped security from a former president, which would be unprecedented. He is ending a security detail that was unauthorized in its extension. No reason given for a vice president. She is not owed anything from the American people. She's actually very wealthy and can afford her own private security. And so I'm not sure why this is an issue. It's just another distraction tactic away from what really matters with President Trump and his administration and the current policy that's going on. A lot of successes, but we're talking about Kamala.
All right. Well, she'll probably have a successful book tour, I'm sure. So that's something she can take away. I want to talk a little bit about Kim Kardashian. She was in Venice at a pretty, Tony show last night, the red carpet. And from there, she was making comments about President Trump's immigration crackdown, saying that people who have worked so hard to build our country, so many people are getting affected, people I know, people, my friends. Now, so she's slamming him on ice. But, back in the first term, she was in the Oval Office. She spoke at White House events for criminal justice reform. At that time, she was praising Trump. And actually, more recently, 2023, Ashwani, she was begging Joe Biden to stop the Armenia-Azerbaijan war. She even had a column in Rolling Stone. We have the headline here. My plea to Joe Biden, stop another Armenian genocide. She's Armenian. I think most of our viewers know that. And then we have President Trump. Oh, gee. He brings together Armenia, Azerbaijan, and has this landmark peace ceremony not too long ago. So why can't Kim Kardashian come out and give President Trump credit for where credit is due for that? She can still attack on ice. But it seems kind of interesting that she one time wanted this to end, and President Trump has done something she wished.
Look, I have no idea if Kim Kardashian is a reliable policy expert, but I am grateful that just like MAGA celebrities, she's using her platform to stand up for something. Now, in this case, it just so happens that she is right. Look, there is nothing wrong with deporting violent criminals, but that is not what Trump is doing. Many of the people targeted have no violent criminal records at all. And in fact, according to Trump's own FBI and DOJ, undocumented immigrants commit fewer crimes than U.S.-born citizens. And most come here legally and overstay a visa, which is a civil offense like a parking ticket, not a felony. We need an immigration system rooted in facts and not fear, and that's the point that I'm taking away from this.
Just seems like, from her either red carpet or gilded mansion, gated, life here, she can make comments about immigration, but something so dear to her heart, which is genocide, sweeps that under the carpet. That was a big deal that he was able to get that done. Stacy, final thoughts.
You know, it is, but I balk at the idea that only some of our laws should be enforced. Immigration law in this country has been pretty standard for the past 30 years, and it is a crime to break into our country illegally. It is a crime to overstay a visa. It's not a matter of whether or not you are violently offended. Of course, we want those people out of here, but we need and require all of our laws to be enforced. And President Trump is doing that, and I think it's really disingenuous for people to act as if certain criminal actions shouldn't be prosecuted because nice people or they're friends with Kim Kardashian. It should be enforced.
I just want to get one quick reaction on a Gallup survey from you, Ashwani, because you seem to have, the pulse on where the Democrats are. So they asked people the direction of the country. 76% of Republicans said they're satisfied, but Democrats, zero, basically less than 1%. So you tell me that every single person surveyed says they're not happy. Does that seem more personal and not really based on policy? Is it just a hatred for Donald Trump that they don't see? Like, for example, low gas prices, lower grocery prices, lower egg prices. They can't even admit it when something's good. That number's a little bit disturbing. Final thoughts, Ashwani.
Look, Democrats are frustrated because we actually care when things go wrong. Unlike MAGA, who cheers on chaos, Democrats want a government that works, protects freedoms, and delivers for working families. And that dissatisfaction is not just a rejection of progressive values, it's a cry for bolder action. When you have policies like a Medicare for all, a living wage, climate justice, voting rights that enjoy popularity among both sides, and yet you have leaders on both sides of the aisle that refuse to work on those issues, that's when you have the dissatisfaction with Democratic voters, again, for both parties and leaders in the establishment right now.
All right, a lot of people in D.C. who were victims of crime in Chicago are really happy about what's going on to bring back law and order. So we'll see. It's always the sampling with the polling. Ashwani Jain, Stacy Washington, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.